November 20 is the only one you need to be worried about. To house people who have one of the most contagious and deadly diseases in history. The Mongols had a charity day and they asked if I wanted to come down to the Wangara clubhouse to watch. And I filmed some of it on my mobile phone.
Hard to keep track of all these COVID dates.
November 20 is the only one you need to be worried about. That's when we doubled the number of international arrivals to 530 a week into WA. History shows us it's not the border that's our Achilles heel, it's hotel quarantine. There are 2.6 million square kilometres in WA and we choose the middle of the CBD, the part of the state with the highest foot traffic, to house people who have one of the most contagious and deadly diseases in history. And we are surprised when it gets away from us. We're still letting people have staycations in quarantine hotels. So Karen and Kev from Kwinana are throwing down in the bedroom 4 vertical metres from where some Barry from Birmingham is starting his 14 days in isolation.
A few thousand teenagers are currently planning a staycation.
November 22 is when school starts in Dunsborough. If you haven't had at least one dose, you can't get in. So you need your fake ID for COVID and your fake ID for booze. December 31 is when all volunteers have to be vaccinated. There's more than 600,000 of them in WA. You might be able to force a hesitant anti-vaxxer to get the jab to keep their job, but if you don't pay them, you've got no leverage. Volunteer firefighters say an anti-vaxxer not turning up for a shift could be the difference between a town burning down and not. Mind you, the flip side of that argument is that a pro-vaxxer might not show up because they don't want to be cooped up in a fire truck with someone who hasn't been jabbed. January 14 is when we hope we'll have an Ashes tour in Perth. McGowan's copping crap on this one because if he gives cricketers an exemption, he gets panned for double standards, and if he doesn't, then he's betraying the ghost of Richie Benaud.
One of the worst things I have ever seen.
Late January, early February is when we hope we will be at 90% and we might open the borders.
Lots of moving parts though. McGowan's still got support.
For now, it's gone from about 90% to 72% in a pretty short period. The 20 percentage point drop from 70 to 50 will happen a lot faster because we're going to start seeing people go on holiday next month and people can't have Christmas together. Kevin! 50% support is a nightmare for any politician because for every person you please, there's one you don't. It's a zero-sum game.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown.
He's in a pickle of his own making with this one, but in Mark McGowan's defence, there would not be one leader of a country or a state or a province anywhere in the world that wouldn't swap places with him in a heartbeat. If you said to the Mayor of New York when they were digging those mass graves, or to Narendra Modi when the bodies were floating down the Ganges, or Boris Johnson when he almost died, or Gladys when her contact tracers lost control, if you'd said to any of those people, would you swap places with a man who runs a place that is virus-free?
You know, we've had 12 days of lockdown since last April, 12 days. One of the lowest rates of lockdown of anywhere in the world.
Who has some control over when it arrives, who is presiding over the strongest economy in the world, and who has more money in the bank than any government on earth, they'd say yes.
I'm worried about you saying yes to a bikie ride-along.
The Mongols had a charity day and they asked if I wanted to come down to the Wangara clubhouse to watch. And I filmed some of it on my mobile phone.
What did I say about turning your camera on the side?
I had more important things to worry about, like not getting bashed.
You were probably nervous.
Well, I went there 2 weeks after I said this. If you join a bikie gang and you've completed high school, you get the nickname Brains.
God, you look like an undercover cop.
They were parked around the corner. Should have been given infringements out for noise pollution. It's fucking noisy. Interestingly, there were a couple of other gangs hanging out with the Mongols. This guy that I'm just walking past is part of the Lone Wolf gang. Apparently they're buddies. The boss of the WA Rebels was there, that's Carl LeBrook. He took over from Nick Martin. Troy McCanty was leading the pack. Yeah, there you go. That's as friendly as Troy McCanty gets. It's bizarre. Before they get onto their bikes, McCanty and LeBrook are chatting about their family life. And this is the day before the cops arrest David Pye, who works for McCanty in the Mongols after quitting LeBrook's gang and trying to kill LeBrook's mate and former boss, Nick Martin.
Allegedly.
The latest revelation is the bloke Pye is accused of hiring to kill another bikie was going to do that hit with a machine gun.
Say hello for my little friend.
The assassin was going to wait for Comanchero boss Ray Chili to walk out of a bar in Thailand where he's living and then let rip.
Like that guy on the Harley.
At least McCanty's not wearing that white helmet that made him look like a Lego man. That's a good idea for Lego's next franchise. Don't worry about Star Wars and Harry Potter. How about the Outlaw Motorcycle Gang's Lego set? Collect all 14 bikie clubs that are active in your state. Meth and firearms sold separately.
What's with all the patches on their jackets?
You know the patch on the back, the big one. It's called the three-piece. The top rocker has the club's name, the bottom rocker is the chapter location, and then you've got the central emblem. In the case of the Mongols, it's of Genghis Khan, the 13th century warlord who killed more people than anyone in history when he was in charge of the Mongol Empire. He's riding a Harley. And you know the 1% thing.
What, their IQ?
Her words, not mine. In 1947, the American Motorcyclists Association held a rally in a town called Hollister in California. It got out of control. The AMA was said to have come out afterwards and claimed 99% of motorcyclists were law-abiding citizens. You'll also see the number 13. 13th letter of the alphabet is M.
For maniacs.
Still her words. M originally stood for marijuana, now more appropriate for meth. You'll see an arrangement of letters with FF in the middle, MFFM or RFFR. That stands for Mongols Forever, Forever Mongols, or Rebels Forever, Forever Rebels. Troy has stretched the definition of forever. He was a coffin cheater and a fink before he became a Mongol. You'll also see which chapter they are in. Mongols call their chapters charters. McCanty's part of the Mother Charter, the inaugural clubhouse. Then you'll see wings of different colours on their vests.
How do they earn those?
Well, according to underworld folklore, sometimes all it takes is one goat.
What?
You get certain coloured wings for certain achievements, and the cops like to propagate the story that sex with a farm animal is one such accomplishment. Note the rider that it can't be just any kind of animal. I don't think that's the case with modern bikie gangs, but I also don't think you get wings for selling a record number of Girl Guide cookies. You will see pictures that signify you have been on a club run, patches with club mottos. You will also see patches worn as a tribute to members who have died.
McCanty's in his 50s.
Mel Gibson and Danny Glover had the protection of the police. If McCanty didn't have a gang behind him, he'd probably already be dead.
I'm too old for this shit.
This bloke has got a lot of enemies. The only thing stopping someone exacting revenge is the certainty that these guys will pile on if they do.
There's too many of them.
You're not a nom or something, are you?
I think hanging out with a bunch of dudes in leather is the most homoerotic thing since the beach volleyball scene in Top Gun. The cops keep saying these men are attracted to the lifestyle because of the drugs and the violence. I'm not so sure.
Well, bring out the gimp.
They're going to want to kill you.
Maybe. But for now, I'm Ben Harvey. For more Up Late, click the subscribe button below.